how do we compare where we are, whether it be from a health perspective or whatever way you would like to evaluate that? I'll give the ball to you for that.
Yeah, I think I would like to draw a distinction there between what I call high-end manufacturing or high-performance advanced manufacturing, and then the other piece would be commoditized mass production. So there's no question in my mind that when it comes to high-performance advanced manufacturing, the US is still the leader. But that's not to say that it does not need continued investment to maintain the lead. Significant investment is needed to maintain the lead, but US by far has the most advanced manufacturing technology for high performance, and especially for DoD applications. Now, if we talk about the other end, which is the commoditized manufacturing, a lot of that left the United States because they were low cost. The manufacture of these parts required low-cost labor. Low-cost labor was available at 1/10 of the cost in places like China, and then of course other places in Southeast Asia. So we lost a lot of that, and it may never come back. So what we face now, what is really staring at us in the face, is how can we get the next leapfrog advantage in high performance manufacturing. And that, I believe, is going to come about as a result of the confluence of AI, digital engineering, high performance computing, and the enablement of the modernization of manufacturing techniques with advanced and additive manufacturing technologies. All of these are going to come together and provide the next wave, what I was going to probably call the next industrial revolution. That's going to be enabled by the confluence of these emerging technologies that are going to modernize established techniques to provide leapfrog capability in terms of speed, in terms of lowering costs, in terms of flexibility, because we are not going to produce millions and millions of the same thing in the future. We're going to make smaller batches. They're going to be faster design changes and design revisions and new versions that are going to make their way to the market more frequently. And so flexibility and agility is going to be needed. And that's going to be enabled by these digital manufacturing technologies.
And is there constraints from a capital perspective, let's say comparatively between us and, let's say, India or China, specifically China, right?
Right.
Like that's an obvious one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the US needs to wake up and understand that while we have created a tremendous amount of excitement on what the future could hold with additive manufacturing and what we could do, there has to be money where the words are. They have to put money where the words are, because if sufficient investment is not made, then we cannot even contemplate competing against China, in particular in the additive manufacturing arena, because just as an example, US invests $50 million a year in additive manufacturing. China invests $50 million a month. How can you even compete on that front? Right? So there has to be this wake-up call. Yeah. There needs a serious wake-up call that if we are truly going to take advances in additive manufacturing, especially to enable modernization of traditional manufacturing techniques, which will allow us to leapfrog any other nation on the planet, it's going to require massive investments to be able to do that.
Right. Wow. So if I'm not mistaken, if I didn't mishear or misunderstand, that's at least a 10x.
At least 10x, if not 12x. Differential in investments. Which is why, I mean, I've seen some things which are absolutely mind-boggling, which have not been done here. I've seen a presentation by a Chinese university lab that built an entire wing spar of an aircraft for China's government by metal 3D printing. And they did all the groundwork, all the scientific and technical engineering work to prove the metallurgical quality of that piece that would be needed for airworthiness. And then they actually flew it, it's not been done here. Simply not done. There are companies that have come about There have been companies that arose with DoD funding to show that they could make those kinds of parts like wing spars and so forth, and then they failed and disappeared.
Huh. Wow.
So clearly there's something that they're doing and they're investing, and there is an onslaught. I feel that it's only a matter of time where there's going to be an onslaught of Chinese make 3D printers that will try to invade the US market. So it depends on what's going to happen with the new administration, where they put in tariffs and they put in blocks for those kinds of equipment, because if they show up at a cost that is so much lower than what's available here, it's going to be very, very difficult for the US incumbents to compete. Very difficult. Yeah.
Right. And so that's China. Let's turn our view towards Europe, for example. Obviously, Europe historically has been really strong in industry. However, that's obviously changed over the years. So let's compare ourselves to, let's say, Germany or France. Actually, let's start with France.
Right. Yeah, so France has long been known to have some of the most advanced nuclear technology, and their nuclear reactor designs are very different than the ones that we have in the US. So they are very well known for that. Of course, Marie Curie did all the original work in Paris. So they've got a long history in nuclear. And so they also have a long history in space, right? So they are known for the Ariane space rocket and stuff like that. But I think that they will have a very tough challenge in competing against the likes of SpaceX and Blue Origin, because these are privately funded companies, and SpaceX, who leads SpaceX, and that individual likes to move super fast at rocket speed. And so there's this very interesting video that is about, I think it's maybe at least 5 years, maybe 10 years old, of the CEO of the France's space program, saying that SpaceX will never be able to do this. They won't be able to achieve these kinds of launches, and they were completely proven wrong. And so I think that's on the side of France. And I think the other thing that we know about France is it's a very highly bureaucratic company. Everything is mired in bureaucracy. And so that's going to slow things down quite a bit. If we switch to Germany, Germany is suffering really bad from the Ukraine war and the lack of energy supply from the pipeline from Russia, and them having to then build alternate power generation equipment and units at the shore, at seaports, where you have natural gas coming in from US and other sources, and them generating power. And so most recently, you can see what has happened. Volkswagen saw a 60% drop in profits in China, which was seriously devastating. And now most recently, they have announced that they're going to shut down 2 plants in Germany, which is really, really big, earth-shaking news, because it's going to have ripple effects across the rest of think about all the tier 2 and the tier 3 suppliers of Volkswagen. All of those people are going to be impacted.
Like, subscribe.